And we have a process tailored specifically towards veterans, firefighters, public service workers, and our supporters because we have to support the supporters. So today, it's all about the women.
Oh, that's awesome. And I am so excited to be a part of this ecosystem. And we have a panel of individuals and professionals here today that we would love to introduce you to really quickly. So let me get started here. Ms. Diane Rosso, would you like to quickly introduce yourself and tell everyone your role in the ecosystem?
So my name is Diane Rosso from the state of Washington, and I help people eliminate toxins from their body. Oftentimes, adversarial relationships are due to one person not being at their best. And when we can clean out the body from toxicity, we have a mind that works more clearly and better for the family.
Thank you so much for sharing, Diane. Ms. Diana Ashworth, would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Diana Ashworth, and I am a transformation coach. So, my role is to help women that have gone through divorce um, find themselves again. Deal with their finding their inner strength and resilience. So, that's what my role is.
Thank you so much.
hmm
Miss Carly, would you like to introduce yourself? Take a deep breath. You're all good.
Hi, my name is Carly Tugas. I help moms of children with disabilities go from overwhelmed to calmness.
Thank you so much for sharing. Ms. Emily, are you able to share? You can give me a good yes or no.
Yeah. I am Emily, and I am a holistic health coach, and I help people detox their homes from toxic chemical products that we use every single day, and I swap them over to cleaner alternative items.
Awesome. And everyone, my name is Michelle Rawls. I am the owner founder of Show Me Nourish, the host of the Nutrition Lab. And my role in the ecosystem is to help those individuals who are now going from a one budget to a two budget, learning how to eat healthy. And as a role of a parent, maybe one hasn't learned how to cook yet. Maybe one needs to learn how to budget. Maybe one needs how to eat healthy. Keep that same pattern within the home system, keep that cohesiveness. And that's my role here in the ecosystem. So, Ms. Wanda, you have some topics for us to discuss today. What's our first question today for everyone?
Well, in the spirit of financial clarity before legal chaos, which is our which is our mantra, the first question that I wanted to ask is, what is the number one or the biggest mistake financially that you see women make?
Who would like to take that first question? Because we're all women here. Who's ready to open up that can?
Well, I can share something. I'll go first, and that'll give you guys all
Be
a
the
chance
first
to
one.
think about that one.
Go ahead, Wanda.
And it doesn't have to be the biggest, but what are some financial mistakes? And I'm going to share, and then you can kind of jump in. Okay. So one financial mistake I see women make is being kind of shy about opening or exposing their financial life when they first meet somebody.
That's a good one.
Right?
And
Like,
there's a reason behind that.
absolutely. So financial compatibility seems to be one of the biggest roots of all evil, we'll say. So when couples end up meeting and connecting, they'll talk about children, they'll talk about pretty much anything before they'll talk about finances, right?
Yeah.
Like it's called bearing yourself financially in front of the other person. If there's something that they're not quite, content with or they're not proud of, there could be a bankruptcy, there could be late payments, there could be something that they're just not wanting the other person to know about them right away. But I see that as one of the biggest mistakes is feeling that you cannot be open about your financials and about finances in general at the beginning of a relationship. It certainly could save people a lot of trouble at the end of it when a spender and a saver fall in love, but they can't quite make a home.
Well, that can also be an intimidation factor too. So if you have a relationship beginning or into that process, one makes more than the other, one doesn't want to disclose all that financial possibilities. So then this becomes a very closed off situation. From a woman's standpoint, I'm going to say, we have more tendency to put the barrier up and say, maybe I just don't want to disclose that at this point, or maybe that's not a conversation I am open to having at this point. So, Diane, you wanted to say something?
Well, I've met many women that have what I call retail therapy. And, when things get really tough at home, that's a salve that's used to help them feel better about what's going on at home. But in essence, it's just escalating because there's a lack of understanding about how imbalanced the finances are becoming for having to spread it out for the bills because this retail therapy side just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper in debt. So
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Anybody else have a thought to that? No, wonder what's our next topic because that's a good one, and that could go either way. Men have
sure.
I know we're talking about women, but men have that tendency to not want to release that information as well. I'm just going to put that out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to read out the next question. If every woman listening today could do just one thing this week to better understand their financial future, what would that thing be?
One thing this week to change their financial future?
Or to better understand, is there an area of your financial future that is in the dark, that is not, that you feel if you knew more about that, you would have better options for your financial future? Is there an area that you feel that women probably know less about than, say, our male counterparts?
I think
Mm.
don't put together spreadsheets so that they understand what's coming in and then what are the bills that are going out. Even the common ones, the utilities, the mortgage payment, the how much food costs. It's like all of a sudden at the end of the month we run out of money and we're not sure what happened. But if we had this spreadsheet that said, hey, we get $3,000 a month, and this look at all of the standing bills, I mean, for some reason, women are less inclined to do that kind of tallying in front of the month. They wait till the end of the month and go, I'm short. So I
But
think
why do women have that tendency? Why do we have that tendency to not sit down and have that conversation? Because I can tell you from my point of view why I don't want to have that conversation. And that is due to the fact that the response on the other side is not well recepted. In other words, it's not a conversation. It comes back as, well, how did you let that happen? How did you not plan? How did you not come up with your side? How did you spin this over here or go do this over here, but you didn't actually plan for this over here? So, but then there's another side of that conversation as well. Okay, well, I had to pick up this over here because you did this over here. So see how this becomes this little nitpick
Back and forth.
situation at this point.
mhm.
A big divide, and I wanted to share with this, a big divide in literacy or financial literacy between the sexes, we'll say, the genders. I noticed that, and this is not always, but for a long period of time, the tendencies were that the woman was the person who managed the household budget. everything with groceries and stuff like that, anything pertaining to the month by month stuff was managed. Then on the other side of it, with the investments and the high level conversation about finances, I tend to have found that that was predominantly men that had the financial literacy about the investment portfolio. And so there was this divide between where the strengths on financial balancing and financial literacy were. Is that something that any one of you have ever witnessed or experienced in your lifetime?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. My husband is the one who likes to do all the um, investment processes, but then it makes it difficult because my son's an financial advisor. So we actually have our split. So he has his, I have mine. And you're finding that to be more common in today's world where the households are splitting things, but having one common place to put for bills and so forth. But in my experience of, being divorced twice, remarried three times, I mean, men, my first husband did not do that. That wasn't something he thought about, investments, so I did that. So you can kind of see where that independent role came in at that point. Second one had no thought process to that, so I did that. But then I come into this one, and this one has investment thought processes and is going to take charge of that. And so there came that head to head, thought process at that point. So how are we going to handle it? The best way to do it was to just let us do our thing.
Money is such a sensitive topic. Um,
Hmm.
even and the more the and in even in intimacy, I want to say, even in
Yeah.
intimacy, money is just a very delicate topic. And one of the major reasons of my divorce was because I made more money, and in his upbringing, he was supposed to be the breadwinner. So
Hmm.
it caused shame and frustration, and he always felt like it was his turn. Well, his turn, go do it. I'm your biggest advocate. I'm your fan. I mean, let me root you on. Go do it. But
Right.
because I was in a field, a newer field of technology, and he was in the field of construction, there was, not a way for that for him, so that was something he had to deal with within himself and never did. I became the bad guy because I made more money, and I'm like, yikes. And
Same.
so
I have the same situation. Yeah. I've been the breadwinner in that side of things. And then when, flipping into moving then out of a corporate job into, my own being entrepreneurial, it was the same way in the very beginning. He was definitely not all about me making more money. And it's still that thing today. And I think that that's, where we are in that culture of our time frame, right? The men are
stigma,
supposed to take care of the household.
don't you, Michelle? I think the stigma's less now than it.
It is.
I mean, I'm 70 years old, so I mean, I think 30 years ago that was a much bigger deal than it is
Absolutely.
today. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
that that's not as pronounced.
No, I really believe, as most of us, do have younger children. I believe that there's definitely, I have two boys myself, and both boys, have had relationships, and my oldest one, he's had the same relationship for the past, oh gosh, 13 years, something like that now, and they have always kept it. He does, and he's the breadwinner, of course, in that relationship, being that advisor. But with that said, they have everything split. There's one common bank account, and everybody puts the bill money into that bank account. And then what you have is what you have at the end of the day. And for the most part, I'm seeing the younger generation do that because that seems to work. But in the end, how do those investments work? How does that house work? How does that, timeline of medical needs work? if you're not married and you've done this, or even if you are married, how does this really split out in the end? And I think these are the conversations that are not being had.
And these are the conversations that we are starting to have. And
Yes, we
these
are.
are the changes that we're starting to make. Because you're right, everyone, you're completely right. The landscape of families have changed. 50 years ago, the family unit were completely different than they are now, with blended marriages and women now in executive positions more frequently, and it's just different times. And so we are ripe for the change, and we're right
Absolutely.
on schedule.
Absolutely. All right, we have
So,
time for one more question. We've got about 4 minutes remaining.
so the last question isn't really a question, is and I want you to give just a word of wisdom to anybody who's listening in and they're on this journey. Just give one word of wisdom, because one thing I've just noticed, this is beautiful. You guys are all from somewhere else. You're not from Newfoundland, Canada, right? But we are all the same. We are sisters, and it is absolutely incredible, the power of sisterhood to be able to help women through this. So give us your best piece of advice, your best piece of wisdom for the ladies listening. You start.
Diana, would you like to go first?
That's a big request because there's many topics. So let me take it down to my area of health. In the area of health, the piece of advice I can give you is an unplanned diagnosis isn't fatal, and it doesn't mean that we are powerless. So if you are dealing with a health situation that has been long running, long standing, and that's causing you to be on the brink of separation or divorce, then please reach out and ask for some help.
Absolutely. All right. Diana Ashworth, you have a ending for us today? Piece of
Yeah,
advice?
um, you know, going through this journey, if you are going through this journey right now, I would say give yourself grace. You know, things are going to happen, you're going to feel, lost even sometimes, but, give yourself grace and take time to figure out, your journey, what you're doing, and all of that. Don't overwhelm yourself. So that's what I would say.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Miss Emily,
Sorry, I couldn't unmute it. I was trying to
you're
unmute.
good.
Okay, so I would say is, when you're detoxing your home from all these toxic chemicals we're exposed to daily, take your time. Start with one product and one room at a time. You don't overwhelm yourself. It's going to get too overwhelming if you try to do it all at once. Just do it one at a time. And don't believe everything that's on the label either. Make sure you really read the label and do your research. I've done the research, so you can reach out to me and ask, but do your research before you're taking these products home.
That's good. That's good. Carly, what's your advice for everybody out here today?
Same as Deanna would say, take time for yourself and have grace for yourself.
That's a good one, because we don't do that. That is something we do not do. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We're racing around. We are always in a hurry. We have to go, go, go. And one of the things, that I would like to tell people today is in relationship to everyone here. Everyone is absolutely correct. Give the grace. Take one thing at a time. Make sure, that you are reaching out for that support. And that is what we are here for at the ecosystem. When you are meeting the situations in these relationships and needing that help, maybe before it gets too far, and even if it does, reach out to the ecosystem. The only thing you have to do is go to mybestoutcome.com, tap into that, and ask for help because that's what we're here for. Go ahead, Wanda, and wrap us up.
Okay, I'll give my piece of wisdom. The mind is like a parachute. It functions best when it's open.
That
So
is so good.
if you're open, if anyone listening is open to a different path forward, we're here.
All right. Well, that was her best outcome for today. We will be back next Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. on the East Coast. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. We will see you next week. Put that on your calendar. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everybody.
Bye.